What's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be unboxing the all-new Apple Watch Ultra 3. It's been a year since I unboxed the Ultra 2 in Yosemite, and that was a really cool experience. Unfortunately, I can't do it this year, but I do get to check out the new Ultra 3, and that is really cool. So let's get into the video and see what this thing can do. Well, let's get this thing out of the box. I really wish I was in Yosemite. That was super, super cool when I got to unbox it there. I cannot wait to check this watch out. I love my Ultra 2. I did state in my Ultra 2 video in the unboxing that it lets you know about scratches. Turns out it's not completely scratch resistant. I did scratch my Ultra 2 on sandstone while out in Utah at, I believe it was Arches National Park. And I'll put a video up of my stupid maneuver there, but I do have a few little dings on the watch face. Turns out asphalt is good, steel is okay with this, but sandstone, no buenos. Totally kills your watch and will scratch it. So just keep that in mind. Hopefully the new one will have a little bit better scratch resistance, but we'll see long term, you know. I love the packaging for the Apple Watches in general, but especially the Ultra. I mean, look at that. It just screams outdoorsy. You've got this gorgeous book that comes with it, and it's really, really cool. It's like a trifold here, and it's a very quick walkthrough, your instruction manual. I believe in the original Ultra, you actually got pictures, but I guess they just did the pictures here. But you do have a really, really nice fold out here that gives you kind of that Apple Watch, and if you folded that in, that is a really, really cool shot. I really like that. It's awesome. Kind of looks like it might be, well, it's not out in the Rockies because that's water. I thought that was grass for a second, but that is water. So that's definitely not out in the Rockies. And here is the new Apple Watch, the Ultra 3. Apple is doing this embossing on the top of all of its packaging now, and that is just super, super cool. And of course, we've got the Alpine Loop here, just like my Ultra 2. I love the Alpine Loop bands. They're great, great bands. And this one is getting a little worn out. This is my Ultra 2 band, and I don't know if you can see it from the top down right there, but it's my notch where I always latch it. It's definitely getting worn out. So we'll go ahead and get the star of the show out of its box here. I love, love, love the Apple Watch Ultra series. I keep saying it, but it's because it is an awesome, awesome watch, and it's so useful. It's so cool. And supposedly this one, let's go ahead and open it up here. I believe the Ultra 3 now gets 42 hours of battery life, and that is just incredible. So we'll go ahead, we'll hold this up to the Ultra 2 there, and I'll be honest with you, I don't notice a whole lot of difference between the two watches. In fact, they match up perfectly on all edges here. If I put them face to face there, the edges are pretty much identical. I think the only way that I'm going to notice the difference is to go into the actual screen here. So let's go ahead and we'll turn this on for the first time, and we'll continue checking out some of the other stuff while that boots up. Hopefully it turns on here. It is supposed to have a little bit bigger space. I believe it's more the bezels and how they did the screen. You also got a new display under there, so that is really, really cool. And we have, of course, our standard Apple charging cable here with the MagSafe there. That is really, really nice. I love my MagSafe Apple Watch chargers. And we will go ahead, while that's booting up, I will get the band out of its case here. Also, like I said, I love the Alpine Loop. I love how convenient it is. Now, I have noticed that the second gen Alpine Loop was not. It seemed like it wasn't as durable as the first gen. Like, got that band stuff right here that's fraying. But this is almost an identical, again, pretty much a carbon copy of last year's model. Just, we've got the 3. We've now got that satellite capability, which is super, super convenient and useful. If you don't have your cell phone with you, you get access to that, which is nice. I'll be interested to see, hopefully that works without a cellular plan. And I know we've got 5G with this now, but I tend not to put cellular plans on my watch. I just don't use it without my phone all that often. But there is the display, and man, I am having a real hard time, and I know I'm not into the watch yet, but I am having a real hard time seeing the difference in the bezels. I guess if you turn the light, there are thicker black bezels on the two, and it's so microscopic that I'll have to get a really close-up view once I get this all synced up to really show you what the difference is. And it's not noticeable to the human eye if you were just looking at the watch. You're not going to notice it because it's so, it's not like you're not getting a bigger display per se, watch face. At least it doesn't look, like I said, man, it's so close. The body might be a tad larger. Maybe it does look like it may be just a little bit larger, but it's not that much. It's minuscule amounts of, differences in this. And I will say the black looks a little bit blacker on the Ultra 2 versus the Ultra 3. This looks more like almost like a space black, and this is like or space gray almost, I want to call it. This is like a space black. This is like a jet black. And this has a little bit more of that like almost titanium bleeding through a little bit. But besides that, they are just really, really similar watches. Got 42 hours of battery life with the Ultra 3, and you only had 36 on the Ultra 2, so that is a decent upgrade. You still get that 72 hours of battery life over here on the Ultra 3, same with the Ultra 2 in that low power state. You do get 15 minutes of charging, will grab you 12 hours with the Ultra 3, and that is really, really cool. You also get 5G with this. Now, I don't use cellular plans, so that doesn't really affect me, but if you do use cellular plans on your Apple Watch or Apple Watches, whatever, that is cool that they gave that. You do get satellite messaging with this, so if you're off the grid, you don't have cellular service, you don't have Wi-Fi or anything like that, you can now just have your Apple Watch, and with that, potential 72 hours of battery life, if you're in an emergency situation, that is really, really cool and a really, really good thing to have. You do get 35 hours of low power mode activity, outdoor activity with the Ultra 3 2, which is really, really good. And then you have that wider display that's, again, super hard to see, but the bezels are basically shorter. If you're looking at it at a direct angle, kind of the angle I am right now, you can see the bezels and they are smaller on the Ultra 3. But besides that, you're not going to notice it just, walking up to an Ultra 3 or an Ultra 2. You're not going to really see the difference all that much. You do have a brighter display on the Ultra 3, and you do still have that emergency siren over here, which I love that. That's, again, a really nice thing if you're a hiker or somebody who goes outdoors a lot, does stuff, that you might end up in a situation where you need that. That's there. And you still have your standard, wheel over here, and then your button, which I love that we still have that. That is really cool. And besides that, you get the O2 sensor back. Thank you. That is really good. We get that on the Ultra 3. And then, of course, with the Apple Watch Series 11 and Ultra 3, you get that hypertension monitoring. So kind of your blood pressure, quote, quote, checking. It's kind of do it in the background, but it will give you, your whether or not you have hypertension or, if you have high blood pressure, stuff like that. So really, really cool health features and hiking features with the Ultra 3. I cannot wait to hook this thing up to my iPhone and check it out, and I will definitely get some shots of this and let you guys know how it does. I have been testing these out. I've had this now for at least a couple weeks. I don't remember exactly when I filmed that, but I'm at least 2 weeks in at this point. And one thing that I have noticed is that I am a very heavy Apple Watch user. So I walk at my desk every day for work. I don't sit, so I walk about 5 to 6 miles a day, depending on the day. And so I'm running this, tracking my activity on the treadmill, walking, and that I've noticed that with that and my workout, because I also then get out of work and I go and do a workout after work, with that activity tracking, I will get through about a night and half of a day, or vice versa. So basically, if it's fully charged in the morning, I'll get through to the evening, and then I'll get the warning that, hey, your watch needs to be charged. So what I do to circumvent that is I have a charger over here, and I place it on the charger when I, eat lunch, or if I'm sitting for anything that, anytime I sit, or if I get a shower, I place it on the charger in my bedroom, and that's a slow charger, and then basically just keep it charged, because the watch has the, auto regulate your charging thing, the battery save mode basically that goes only to 80%. And the watch basically decided, oh, you can't stay at 80%. It did it like 3 nights and then jumped straight to, nope, you got to be 100% because you're going to need this through the rest of the day. So if you are a heavy watch user, and in that I mean you're doing a lot of activity and a lot of activity tracking, you're only going to get about a day and a night maybe out of this. So when I say a day, I mean literally day hours, and then you go to bed, and then by the next morning you're going to be pushing like 15, 20% depending on what you did the previous day. Now if you just use it, so on Saturdays I don't do a whole lot of activity. I'm at church and doing other things like that, so I'm not using it as much. I'm just wearing it as a normal watch. That I do notice that I'm getting closer to that 42-hour mark out of this. I notice that I do that, and then Sunday, it's like, oh, wait a minute, I still have, 60% of my battery by Sunday afternoon. So if you're someone who doesn't use this that frequently, then the extra battery life is just amazing. It's not that much over this one, but it's enough that you do notice it if you're not really using it intensively. And this one, I will tell you, with my activity level, I was charging this thing actually multiple times a day because I'd have to find times in the day to charge it because I was killing this super fast. But yeah, that is just pretty much an overview of the battery and what I've seen over the past few weeks in testing this and in trying it out. And I really still love this watch. It's a great watch and definitely, I think, worth the upgrade. With the features that you get. I did also want to note that when I originally unboxed this, said the bezels were not noticeable. They are not noticeable, again, unless the watch faces are side by side. Side by side, you definitely notice the bezel difference, and then you tend to notice it. And once you've seen it, then you'll see it when you have the right screen on. And what I mean by that is this is a black screen right now. If I were to switch this to a lighter watch face, you'll see that bezel and you'll be like, oh yeah, that is a lot narrower. I say a lot, but it's definitely thinner than the old, Apple Watch Ultra 2. And besides that scratch, also, I have my scratch up here that I did in Arches National Park. And so far, I haven't run into any sandstone and scratched this one up. I have hit it a couple times, again, on some cement. I've hit it on some, metal in the gym, different things like that on the Cybertruck. And I've not seen any scratches yet, hopefully not. But I also know that this is a different kind of way that they did this. I forgot the exact terminology for how they got the black on here. It's not anodizing, I don't believe. But the way that they did it might make it, I read somewhere, a little bit more susceptible to scratches, which sucks because this one already, sandstone just killed it. But it's still a really durable watch, and the watch face, I still have not been able to scratch yet. I'm sure someone out there has, but I have yet to be able to scratch it. One more thing I wanted to cover, and it kind of goes without saying, is that all of your previous watch bands and accessories will work with the Apple Watch, and that is really important if you have something like this. Now, this is the Rugged Armor shock resistance case by Spigen. I never can remember how to or know how to say that, but this works. This is the Apple Watch Ultra 3, and you just pop that in there, and now you've got the edges covered. If you're going to go to Arches National Park, then I should have been wearing this. Anyway, but yeah, this works. You also have like stuff like this, which is another one of those same kind of cases, but you get to select the band that you want to use, and this one's a little bit more annoying to put on, which is why I went with this one. Just simplified the issue, but that protects the entire, housing of the Ultra, and I'll throw these in a link down in the description if you're interested in them, and that allows you to hook on, a band of your choice as opposed to having, set with this kind of like old school watch band. This is a Velcro band that I picked up on Amazon. It'll work. It's a little hard to get the watch band out because the button is actually now like another button layer deep, but it works, and if you don't want to have to worry about having just one watch band and you want to link up a different one, you can. Also, my original OG stainless steel link bracelet here, or whatever, I forgot what this, the clasp from Apple, from the original Apple Watch, that works. And then of course, obviously your sports bands and the original like bands. So again, all three of these are all the way back to the original Apple Watch and through to current ones that I've got. Now, I did have one band that did not work on the new watch. It was an Amazon band. It was a leather band, if I remember correctly, and it just would not lock. And I tested it on the old watch and it locked. So I don't know what is up with that, but that's just one out of the plethora of bands I have here that didn't work. And I still don't really know why. Everything else works, so it doesn't make sense. But if you have old watch bands or old cases and protective housings, I'll call them, these kind of protective rugged cases for your Ultra 3, or your Ultra 2 rather, they will work on the Ultra 3. And I believe this actually came from my Ultra 1. So the accessories are working across all of them, which is really, really cool. And honestly, I love that Apple is keeping the ecosystem the way that they are with the Apple Watches in general, because again, original OG Apple Watch bands, they're working with an Ultra 3. That is just really, really cool, and that means that the money that I invested back here, I'm not having to throw away or, maybe sell it for, what, a quarter of what I paid for it, something like that. I mean, I'm really happy that they are keeping the ecosystem, and I hope they keep that up. But that's just something to let you know, if you have stuff like this, that you can use it and, protect your Apple Watch from getting scratched in Arches National Park or other places for that matter. And another thing that has been updated with this watch is you do get an improved GPS on that. So if you are doing things like fitness on your watch a lot, like myself, and you're out running and you're doing a lot of running, biking, stuff like that, you do get a better GPS on the Ultra 3, so that definitely makes it worth the update if you want. Also, you get 5G on here as well if you're out somewhere where you happen to have that. If you're not and you don't put cellular on your watches like myself, then that doesn't really affect you. I have no use for cellular. I'm always usually have my iPhone, and if I don't, I have the satellite messaging. That's why I got, the Ultra 3. So that is really, really cool, and you do get that ability to have the extra, GPS precision with the Ultra 3 versus the Ultra 2. And that goes right along with, the biking and the exercising, that if you're using the traceback feature, or, where you set a waypoint and you're walking back to it, you're gonna get a lot more precise, trace back than you would on the Watch Ultra 2. Not to say that the Watch Ultra 2 was bad, it was good. I used actually that trace back a few times and I was like, oh my goodness, here, okay, I'm turning left, okay, I'm turning right. I was on a trail in the woods and I had never been on the trail before, and I was like, okay, it splits here, and I looked at my watch and it's like, nope, you go this way. And so it was really good here, but it's improved here. And if you're someone who is outdoors a lot, on trails a lot, or somewhere where, extra precision, precise measurements with GPS really, really matter, then the Watch Ultra 3 is definitely the watch for you. Again, this is kind of just a video to let you know of the new features that it has, kind of like last year. I'm not gonna go super deep into each one of these. There's a lot of videos out on YouTube that go like super, super in depth of people who, again, are outdoorsy people. They are using the Garmin's, they're using stuff like that, and they're comparing this to those. I don't have any of those to compare that to. I've only ever had Apple Watches, so that's kind of where I sit. But I will say that if you are someone who has a regular Apple Watch, maybe you have the Ultra 1, definitely get the Ultra 3. If you have like a Series 6, I would say definitely upgrade to at least the current Apple Watch. But if you're someone who is like, hey, I want a little bit more battery, I want, satellite messaging, I want that extra GPS, precise tracking, I want the, durability of this watch, the dive features, stuff like that, I cannot recommend the Ultra enough. I love this watch. Yes, if you have smaller wrists, I wish they would come out with a little bit smaller version and reduce the battery size, just because I know some women that have the Ultra, but even they say it's a little big on their wrists. But they get it because they want the outdoor, features that it offers. So it would be cool if they shrunk this just a tad bit. I said that last year, and I still stand by that. Shrink this watch, Apple. I think a lot more women would purchase this if that was the case, just because they want the ultra features, but they're not willing to get the size just because it looks like they're hauling around a brick on their wrist. And I tend to agree with them in that case. But yeah, that is pretty much my review of the Apple Watch Ultra 3. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, share, and we will see you in the next video.